Thing recording? Alright, what's up, people? Mackey Sports back here to talk about, I can't believe we're having a conversation about this. People are really talking about Ben Roethlisberger's comments on his podcast and starting to compare Lamar Jackson and Big Ben. This is fucking unbelievable to me. So Ben, as usual, with media narratives, they only take the quote out, the parts they want to try to create this narrative. Ben basically said teams don't fear Lamar in the pocket, which is absolutely true. They fear him more as a runner rather than a thrower in the pocket. And so, but he's still basically he's very dangerous outside the pocket, which is obviously true, which is why most teams' game plans are to keep him in the pocket and don't let him escape, because, as we know, that motherfucker is one of the most dynamic runners in the open field. So it wasn't even really a discredit to him, other than just teams don't really respect his pocket throwing ability. And isn't that not true? Is that not what the assessment is on him? So then people went on to compare Big Ben's stats versus Lamar Jackson's stats with very cherry-picked stats and grades and statistics, passer ratings, and all this shit of throws in the pocket that showed that Lamar was better. Okay, so are we really gonna push this narrative? Are you people serious? Don't tell me. I can't believe we're having this conversation. People are really trying to, some people were really trying to say Lamar's better than Ben. Are you kidding me? First off, in games they played each other, Lamar's 0-2 via 2020, the first game, and then via 2021, the first game they played at Pittsburgh. So Ben beat him in Baltimore in the COVID year, and then Ben came back and beat him in 2021 in their December game at home, where Lamar and the Ravens scored a touchdown at the end, went for two. TJ Watt gets in Lamar Jackson's face, 2-point conversion incomplete. Ravens lose by 1. So in games head-to-head, Ben's outplayed Lamar. And the sample size is small, yes, but that's not Ben's fault, because in 2019, Ben was gone for the season with that elbow that he suffered in Week 2 against Seattle. Lamar went off that year and only played us once and won a very close game, because the second game they played was way late, actually last week of the season, and Lamar didn't even play because they already had that first seed locked up. In 2020, Lamar only plays once because he catches COVID on their second game, leading up to that Thanksgiving game that got pushed back to a Wednesday. And then in 2021, Lamar plays him once because the second game, Lamar's hurt. So Ben's outplayed him in the games they played, and Ben obviously has outproduced him. Literally in every fucking category. Do I really even need to talk about this? Super Bowl championships, he's got 2 out of 3. Lamar hasn't even been to a Super Bowl, let alone a conference championship. Ben has been to 5 conference championships, losing 2 to the Patriots and winning 3. Lamar has 1 playoff win, and then the stats speak for themselves. Ben's literally top 10 in every category, top 3 in fourth quarter comebacks. So we could talk about this way down the road, if Lamar even can ever make a conference championship or a Super Bowl. But for now, this narrative is going to be put to bed. Don't compare these two, because they're different players, yet outside of the pocket, they're very dangerous. Let's be honest. Ben wasn't the most prototypical in the pocket type of quarterback. Where he was most dangerous was outside of the pocket. So that's where teams feared him, because his ability to extend plays, throw on the run, break sacks, and allow his receivers to get open and just stay on the move longer is just what was dangerous in his game. So I'm squashing this narrative. Don't compare these two because Lamar has miles and miles and miles of ways to go before he ever reaches a top 10 quarterback of all time in Ben Roethlisberger. So until then, Shannon Sharpe and Skip Bayless, the fact you guys, hold on. I watched this yesterday, their take on this. And it's funny because they were being hypocritical to a point because they were trying to discredit Ben by saying his receivers essentially made him. And then they went on later in their take to say, oh, well, we don't mean to discredit him, but he was obviously a great player, but he was surrounded by great weapons. And then they pointed to Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown, Hines Ward, Plaxico Burress, Mike Wallace, Emmanuel Sanders, and that is true. Obviously, Hines Ward and Antonio Brown are definitely Hall of Fame players in my opinion. Plaxico Burress went on to be a very good receiver for the Giants. Mike Wallace didn't really go on to do anything after he earned that big-time contract in 2012. And Le'Veon, as we know, amounted to nothing, just as I predicted when he left Pittsburgh and sat out a year. So, you guys are going to say Ben was surrounded by great weapons. Okay, so then explain to me then why in team history we never extended receivers outside of Antonio Brown and Deontay Johnson and Hines Ward. So all these great weapons would leave, and then another receiver come in and they would just look good. So is that a product of the system, or is that a product of how good they were? It's a little bit of both. We drafted good receivers, but Ben made his receivers. Let's be honest. One would leave, one would go. Then they pointed at Heath Miller and Jerome Bettis, and I agree, these are all great players. But don't try to discredit Ben by saying he wasn't that. These weapons made him. That is ridiculous. Okay, then if we're going by that narrative, Tom Brady wasn't that good because he had Rob Gronkowski and Randy Moss. Think about how stupid that sounds. Good players elevate other good players. As simple as that. Antonio Brown, Hines Ward, no doubt, Hall of Fame players in my mind. Emmanuel Sanders was good as well. I mean, Peyton Manning, okay, then I guess he wasn't that good because he had Reggie Wayne, Marvin Harrison, Dallas Clark. I mean, I guess he wasn't that good then. Shit. I mean, he had Wes Welker for a couple of years at the end. Brady had Wes Welker. Shit, I guess Brady and Manning weren't that good then because they had great weapons too. So I can't believe they even tried to say that Ben. Their point was that, well, Lamar's never had weapons as good as Ben. Okay, give Lamar those guys. Okay, but the problem is the Ravens scheme was never suited to wide receivers getting the ball because they were a run-first offense under Greg Roman because they wanted to focus their offensive schemes around Lamar Jackson's ability to play, which was read options, running the football, and passing the ball to Mark Andrews. And while they had Marquise Brown. And receivers don't want to go. Good receivers didn't want to go there because they knew what the scheme was. They were going to be blocking more than half the time. And quite frankly, at times, Lamar has been... You can look at... There's been times where Lamar can be a very inconsistent thrower of the ball in his decision-making. So, don't compare these two. And, yeah, you know, you can say... I forgot Santonio Holmes as well. Yeah, Ben's had better weapons, but at the same time, he's elevated his weapons. Could Lamar Jackson have ever made that throw that Ben made in Super Bowl 43 in that corner of the end zone to Santonio? Fuck no. So I'm shutting this narrative down. Don't ever bring this narrative up because Lamar will never amount to Ben's career accomplishments nor what he's done. So that's all I'm going to say. And I can't believe we even had to make this video. But if anybody comes at me saying Lamar's better than Ben, you can't debate me on this topic because there is no debate. And all the facts prove that, I mean, come on, 500 plus yards games passing, 400 plus yards game passing, 6 touchdowns back-to-back games. I mean, come on, stop it. But hope you all have a good weekend. And this was a longer video, so your boy is out. Deuces. Don't forget to subscribe, and the draft's coming up here in a few weeks. Let's get it.